The sky above the Empire warship was silent, filled only with stars, cold light, and drifting dust. Captain Vrax stood on the bridge of the Dominator, arms crossed, sharp eyes watching the wide screen ahead. It was supposed to be another boring patrol through Sector 9. A dead zone, quiet for years, no rebels, no smugglers, just empty space and silence. The crew moved slowly, tired from the long shift. A junior officer, Ensign Reen, yawned while checking his scanner. Suddenly, he frowned, blinked, and leaned closer to his console. "Captain, something's out there," he said, voice uncertain. Vrax turned slightly. "Another rock? A ghost ping?" "No, sir," Reen said, tapping fast. "It's a vessel. But it's not in the system registry. No signal, no ID code. It came from deep space. And it's moving toward us fast." Vrax's eyes narrowed. He walked over and stared at the green dot blinking on the screen. It wasn't big, not like an Empire dreadnought, but it was fast, too fast for a freighter or pirate ship. "Open comes, send a standard warning," Vrax ordered. "Yes, sir." A robotic voice echoed through space, warning the unknown ship to identify itself and change course. But there was no reply, just static. Vrax waited, the tension growing with every second. Then the ship slowed and stopped, still out of weapon range, floating like a shadow. Lieutenant Darrow spoke up. "Sir, the design, it's not anything we've seen before. It doesn't match any alien race on record. There are no engines visible. No heat signatures, just silence," another officer whispered. "It's like a ghost ship." Reen leaned back, pale. "That's no official vessel. And it's headed straight for us." Vrax stared hard at the screen. Something deep in his chest twisted. Not fear, but a strange cold feeling. He had seen battles, faced pirate fleets, crushed rebel ships, but this felt different. He stepped forward. "Shields up. Battle stations. Track it. Don't fire unless I say." Red lights flashed, alarms low but steady. Crew members rushed to their posts, weapons charged but held. They watched the unknown ship just sit there, still and quiet. Suddenly, the lights on their ship flickered, just for a moment. A strange hum passed through the bridge. Every screen blinked, some turning black for 2 seconds. Then everything returned. "What was that?" Vrax asked, voice sharp. "Unknown, sir," the tech officer said. "It wasn't from us. Something scanned us, deep scan. Bypassed our firewall. Impossible." Someone whispered, "Not for them." Darrow muttered. Vrax tightened his jaw. "They're testing us, seeing what we'll do." He watched the ship, trying to guess its purpose. Maybe it was a spy ship, maybe a trap, or maybe something worse, something ancient. The Empire had enemies from old wars, enemies who never forgave. Could it be? He shook the thought away. "Try scanning them again. Deep scan, full power." Reen hesitated, then nodded and launched the scan. A blue light flickered across the screen as the Dominator tried to see inside the unknown ship. Then everything went dark. The bridge lights shut off. Screens went black. Backup systems kicked in with a red emergency glow. Engines roared for a second, then quieted. Only the life support stayed on, and the air felt heavy. "What's happening?" Vrax shouted. "The scan. It triggered something," Reen said, sweat on his forehead. "We've been locked out of our own system. They hacked us." "In seconds?" Vrax asked, not believing. No one answered. Then the screen came back, not a scan, not their system, just a message. Black background, white text in old Earth-style letters. "We are returning home." Nothing else, no sound, no voice, just those words. And then the screen went back to normal. Dead silence followed. Darrow's voice was quiet. "That was human." Vrax turned to him. "What?" "The language, the font, the phrasing. That was human, old Earth dialect." "But humans are gone," someone whispered. "Their colonies were destroyed. Earth was lost a century ago. Maybe not all of them." Darrow said. Vrax stared at the screen, jaw tight. "Send word to High Command. Use emergency channel. Tell them we have a possible human vessel in Sector 9, hostile potential." "Yes, sir." Outside the ship, the unknown vessel slowly turned. Facing the Dominator directly, its surface was dark, almost organic, with strange metal lines like scars. It didn't glow or pulse like other ships. It simply existed, still and quiet, but full of power. Vrax didn't blink. His instincts screamed this wasn't a normal threat. This ship didn't fear them, didn't want to fight them. It wanted something else, maybe revenge, or maybe a warning. He didn't know yet, but one thing was certain: this day would be remembered, because something had returned, and it had found them first. And it wasn't done, not yet. The unknown ship did not move. It floated quietly outside the Dominator, silent, strange, and still. Captain Vrax stood in the center of the bridge, arms folded tight, his eyes fixed on the screen. The words kept echoing in his mind. "We are returning home." No one on the ship spoke loud. They whispered, their voices filled with fear. It wasn't just the message that scared them. It was the way their systems had gone dark, the way their ship had been touched and left helpless, without even a shot fired. Vrax turned to his comms officer. "Is the message to High Command sent?" The officer nodded. "Yes, sir. Full alert sent across all secure channels. Command should respond in minutes." "Good," Vrax muttered. But even he wasn't sure if it was really good. If this vessel was human, and if they had this kind of technology, then the Empire wasn't ready. "Sir," Reen called out, "I think it's scanning us again, slow this time, like it's watching our every move." "Let it," Vrax said. "Let them see who we are." Then something strange happened. The enemy ship began to change. Its surface, which had looked smooth and black, started shifting, like metal melting and shaping into something new. It grew long metal arms along the sides. Weapons, or maybe sensors. Lights glowed from inside its body, deep blue, red, and white lines crawling along its hull like veins. One of the officers whispered, "It's alive." Vrax didn't respond. He couldn't take his eyes off it. "Zoom in," he ordered. The screen showed a close-up view of the vessel's front, where a symbol appeared. It was burned into the surface half-circle, broken star, and a line through it. It wasn't Imperial, it wasn't alien, it was human. Darrow stepped forward. "That's the Earth Exodus symbol. That was used during the final escape from the solar system, during Earth's last days." "Then this is impossible," Reen said. "That was over 100 years ago. No one survived." Vrax looked down. Maybe they did. Inside the strange ship, the crew moved like ghosts, silent and precise. The captain of the ship, Commander Hawley, stood tall in the command center. He wore a dark gray uniform with a faded Earth flag patch on his shoulder. His face was calm, but his eyes showed fire, the kind of fire that only came from long war and deep loss. "All systems running clean," his tech officer reported. "They tried to scan us again. We let them." Hawley nodded slowly. "Let them know we're watching. We don't shoot first, not unless we're threatened." A small voice spoke behind him. A child's voice, soft and full of wonder. "Are they scared of us?" Hawley turned. A little girl stood there, no older than 8. She wore simple clothes, her hair braided tight, her skin pale from years inside the ship. He crouched down to her level. "Yes, they are scared, but it's not because of you. It's because of what we've become. We used to be like them, afraid, cruel sometimes. But we changed, we had to. Are we going to hurt them?" she asked. Hawley shook his head. "Only if they force us, but I hope they don't. I hope someone listens." The girl nodded and walked away, holding a small stuffed animal, the last thing left from her family. Hawley stood again and looked at the screen showing the Empire warship. "They don't know who we are," he said quietly. "But they will, back on the Dominator." The mood changed again. A sound filled the bridge, not an attack, not an explosion, but a soft hum like a voice trying to break through static. The comms officer shouted, "Incoming transmission audio only." "Play it," Vrax said. Voice steady but tense. A voice came through, calm, deep, human. "This is Commander Hawley of the human vessel Revenant. We come with warning, not war. Do not follow us, do not fire. This galaxy is no longer yours alone. The message ended, leaving silence behind it. Vrax's fists tightened. So they are human. They survived, Darrow whispered. They survived Earth's death. The wormholes, the exile, and they built this. Vrax turned slowly, looking at each officer. This changes everything, you understand? Humans were thought lost, their systems abandoned. Now they return in a ship more advanced than anything we've seen. But why now? Reen asked. Why return after 100 years? What do they want? Vrax shook his head. We'll find out. Follow them, but stay back. Do not provoke them. Outside the ship, the Revenant turned again, slow and calm. Then it began to move away, not fast but smooth and quiet, as if leading them somewhere. Are we following? Darrow asked. Vrax nodded once. We're not letting them disappear again. We track them until command responds. And so the Dominator followed. Drifting into deeper space, behind the ghost ship from a dead world. They didn't know what waited for them. But every crew member could feel it. This was the start of something much bigger than war. It was the return of something the galaxy had forgotten. Something human. The Dominator followed the human vessel at a safe distance. The crew kept their eyes fixed on the ship ahead. It glided through space like it owned the stars, silent and smooth, not running, not hiding, just leading. Captain Vrax stood still. Watching the screen, every instinct in his body told him not to follow, but he couldn't stop. The ship wasn't like anything he had seen in his entire career. It felt wrong to chase it, but even more wrong to let it go. Any response from High Command? He asked without turning his head. None yet, sir, the comms officer replied. We've sent the alert 3 times, but still nothing back. Vrax narrowed his eyes. They're delaying, or they're afraid. Darrow walked closer, lowering his voice. What if this ship, Revenant, is testing us? What if it wants us to follow? Then we play their game, Vrax said firmly. But we don't walk into a trap blind. The unknown ship suddenly slowed down near a broken asteroid field. Strange signals pulsed. From the rock's old radio waves, maybe from lost beacons or shattered stations. As they moved through, pieces of ancient wreckage floated in the dark ruins of long-forgotten battles. Reen looked at his scanner. Sir, some of this debris is over 100 years old. But I'm getting power readings, very faint, but still active. Darrow studied the wreckage. That's Earth tech. Old Earth warships, fusion drives, solar arrays, and wait, is that an old flag? One large piece turned slowly, and there. It was a broken flag still clinging to a metal post, torn and faded, but the symbol was clear. A blue Earth surrounded by stars, and below it, a phrase in human language. We never forget. The bridge fell silent again. They built there. New ship from the bones of the old, Darrow whispered. These are the graves of their people. And their warning, as if hearing them, the Revenant stopped moving. It hovered at the center of the field, lights dim, waiting. The Dominator slowed as well, not daring to go closer without permission. Suddenly, a new signal came through. This is Commander Holly of the Revenant. You are now inside the zone we call the Graveyard of Silence. This is where we remember what the galaxy took from us. You are not welcome here, but we will speak once. Vrax leaned forward. Open channel, channel open, the comms officer said. This is Captain Vrax of the Imperial Starship Dominator. We do not seek conflict. We seek understanding. Where did you come from? Why return now? There was silence. Then Hale's voice came back, soft but clear. You crushed Earth. You forced us through wormholes, scattered us like dust. We survived, not because of mercy, but because of memory. We were broken, hunted, forgotten but not dead. We rebuilt. In places you can't see, in silence for a century. Vrax said nothing. He let the humans speak. We watched, Halle continued. We saw the Empire grow crueler. Tighter, we saw species wiped out. Voices silenced, slaves made from once free. Worlds you thought we were gone, but we are human and we do not vanish. A second voice came on, female, older, filled with sorrow. This is not revenge, Captain Vrax. This is a test. We want to know if anything in this galaxy is still worth trusting, worth saving, Vrax replied slowly. So this is why you came back? To test us? To see if we still have a heart? Hale answered, yes and no. We returned because the stars are changing. A darkness is rising beyond your empire, something ancient, hungry, and cold. You cannot fight it alone. We came to warn you, but you must prove you are ready to listen. Reen's eyes widened. Sir, do you think they mean the black signal? Vrax turned sharply. What did you say? The black signal, sir, Reen said, voice shaking. High Command has been hiding it for months. A deep space signal from outside the known galaxy, non-repeatable, corrupted, but massive. Some believe it's a fleet. Others think it's a mind. Hale's voice spoke again, as if reading their thoughts. We've seen it too, and we fear it more than we fear your empire. Vrax stepped back, breathing slow. So you're not the enemy? No, Hale said. We are the storm before the real storm, and now you must choose. Chase us and force war, or listen, and perhaps survive. Then the screen went black. No signal, the comms officer said. They've gone dark again. Still there, Darrow said. I know it. They're watching, waiting. Vrax stood still for a long time. The crew waited for orders, unsure if they were still at war or already in something worse. He finally spoke. We hold position. No weapons, no threats. We wait for them to speak again. The Revenant remained silent, floating like a ghost among the bones of old Earth. Ships, but its presence filled the air, like a weight on the chest of every man and woman on board, in the back of the bridge. A young officer whispered what many were thinking. If this is what one human ship can do, how many more are out there? No one answered, but far away, in hidden systems, more ships were waking up, and the Empire had no idea what was coming next. The silence inside the Dominator was heavy. Captain Vrax stood on the bridge, staring at the black screen. His hands were still, but his thoughts raced. The human ship had gone dark again, no signal, no lights, no sound, yet they all felt it was still there, just watching. No one dared to speak loud, not even to breathe wrong. The crew felt like children standing before something too old, too strong, and too awake. Reen glanced nervously at his scanner. Sir, I think they're doing something. Energy readings are rising, but not from weapons. It's something deeper, like a data burst. Vrax stepped closer. Coming from the Revenant? Reen nodded. Yes, sir, but it's not aimed at us. It's broadcasting into the void, encrypted, tight beam. They're sending a message maybe to someone else. Darrow turned. You think they're calling for reinforcements? Maybe, Vrax said. Or maybe they're just reporting what they saw. Testing us wasn't the end. It was the beginning. He looked out the main screen. The debris field still drifted slowly. Old Earth ships torn by time and war. Some pieces looked like graves, others like monuments. But something was changing in the field now. Reen gasped. Sir, look, one of the wrecks is powering up. The lights on a broken cruiser flickered, dim at first, then steady. Its engines glowed faintly. Not enough for flight, but enough to be seen. Then another ship came alive, and another. Dozens of ancient ships began to flicker back to life, one by one. Is this them? Darrow whispered. Are they bringing back the dead? Vrax watched, eyes wide. No. It's a message. They're showing us their memory, what we destroyed and what they kept. The bridge's screen suddenly shifted, not by command, but as if the Revenant had taken control again. A series of images played silent, slow and painful, old videos, blurry but clear enough to see cities burning, earth cracking, humans fleeing into massive ships, children crying in silence, wormholes tearing the sky, and then darkness. Then another wave of images, hidden colonies on strange worlds, survivors building with scrap and soil, learning new tech, merging alien knowledge with human strength. Warriors training in silence, scientists designing in secret. And a single ship rising from it all. The Revenant. Everyone on the bridge stood still. Some had tears in their eyes, others clenched their fists. They were watching a story no one in the Empire ever believed, the true history of the lost humans. The video ended with a single phrase on the screen. "We remember everything." Then it went black again. No one spoke for a full minute, until Reen finally said, "They've been preparing all this time. They didn't want revenge. They wanted to make sure they were never erased again." "Sir!" The comms officer shouted suddenly, "Incoming message, High Command." Vrax turned quickly. "Play it." The Emperor's voice came through cold, powerful, angry. "Captain Vrax, your report has caused confusion at the highest levels. If this vessel is truly human, it must be captured, not destroyed. Bring it to us, or destroy it if capture fails. The Empire cannot afford a second human rebellion." The message ended with a code of force authorization. Vrax now had permission to use deadly power. He stood there, the order burning in his hands. He looked at his crew, most of them now pale. "With doubt, sir?" Darrow asked carefully. "Do we follow the order?" Vrax didn't answer at once. He thought of the human girl in the video, holding her mother's hand as the sky burned. He thought of the soldiers building warships in silence. The wreckage turned into weapons. He finally said, "No, we don't. Attack, we wait." "But sir, if the Empire wants to destroy them," Vrax said, "they can send someone else. I won't be the man who fires the first shot at ghosts who returned only to speak." The crew looked at him, surprised, but not in disagreement. No one wanted to fight this ship. Not anymore. Suddenly, the Revenant moved. It turned toward the Dominator, slow and calm. Then a single light blinked on its side, a signal. "It's a navigation ping," Reen said. "They're opening a path for us." "An invitation," Vrax straightened. "Where does it lead?" Reen studied the data, eyes wide. "A hidden system, deep off-chart sector." "Sir, this area doesn't exist in our maps. It's invisible, probably blocked by cloaking tech." "They want us to follow again," Darrow said. Vrax nodded. "Then we go." The Dominator began to move, slowly entering the trail of blue light behind the Revenant. As they crossed the last edge of the graveyard, the broken Earth ships dimmed again, returning to sleep, and so they followed. No one knew what waited in the hidden system. Not war, not peace, not answers, only more mystery. But the crew understood now. They weren't chasing ghosts. They were being led by the children of a forgotten world, and the Empire would never be the same again. The stars around the Dominator began to shift, like curtains being pulled away. Captain Vrax watched as the blue trail left by the Revenant opened a hidden path. Not through space as they knew it, but through something deeper. The ship's instruments started to glitch again, not from damage but confusion. "This isn't a wormhole," Reen whispered. "It's something else. I don't even know how to describe it. It's bending light, hiding stars, rerouting gravity like a river bends water." Vrax stared forward, his jaw tight. They built this path themselves. Or maybe found it and claimed it. Either way, this is their world now. As the Dominator passed through the invisible field, the ship shook once soft, like a breath, and then everything changed. Outside the windows, the galaxy disappeared. Instead, there was a great black sky filled with machines. Massive rings floated in space, larger than planets, spinning slowly. They hummed with power, old and strange. Around them were docks, stations, and other ships, some human, some alien, all unlike anything the Empire had seen. Hundreds of vessels flew through the hidden system, not in fear, but in calm. There were warships with human colors, sleek and strong, and smaller ships with alien markings, designed for peace or trade. And there, in the center of it all, was a massive station, shaped like a star with blades, glowing with light from every edge. Reen gasped. "Sir, this isn't just a base, it's a capital, a full city in space," Darrow added. "It's a civilization, hidden in the dark while we ruled the light." The Revenant slowed and moved toward the largest dock. A signal blinked on the Dominator's console, a simple message: "Dock with us." No weapons, no harm. Learn before you judge. Vrax hesitated, then nodded. Prepare for docking, shields on standby, engines idle. The docking process was smooth, almost too smooth. The human tech matched theirs in every way, and then exceeded. Its systems sensed automatically, airlocks sealed without delay. The Dominator's systems updated in real time, adjusting to the station's codes. They're letting us in fully, Reen said. No traps, no fake signals, just full access. Vrax turned to the crew. Only senior staff goes with me. Light arms only. We don't come as enemies. We come to understand. Aboard the station. The air felt different, not heavy, not toxic, but real. The gravity was steady, the temperature perfect. The lights were soft and warm, like daylight on Earth. A strange feeling filled the Imperial officers. It almost felt like home. They walked through a wide corridor lined with human writing and alien symbols. Strange plants grew in the walls, and floating drones passed by quietly, scanning but not interfering. Then they reached a wide chamber, where Commander Hale stood waiting, still in his dark uniform, arms behind his back, his eyes locked on Vrax's, not with anger, but with caution. Welcome, Captain Vrax. Hale said, This is Haven. Vrax looked around. The room filled with screens showing stars, charts, and faces, human and alien working together. You built all this, after everything? No, Hale said. We built it with others. Those your empire crushed or abandoned. We offered them a choice, silence and survival or unity and purpose. They chose us. Why show us this? Vrax asked, Why now? Hale motioned for them to sit. Because the Empire is no longer the greatest danger in this galaxy. Something is coming older than time, colder than death. We call it the Hollow. Reen stiffened. We've heard rumors, whispers about deep space signals, black energy. Star systems just going dark. Hale nodded. We've faced it already. Just once, on the edge of everything. It devours, not just matter, but memory. Machines forget, minds collapse. Stars die without fire. He turned to a screen, showing an empty space where a sun used to be. This system had 4 planets. Now it has dust and silence, and this is why we returned. Not to fight you, but to prepare you. Vrax leaned forward. And what do you want from us? To listen, Hale said simply, and to understand that the age of empires is over. It's not about control anymore. It's about survival together. Vrax looked at him long and hard. You think the Empire will just agree to this? No, Hale said, which is why we invited you first. One captain, one ship, one chance to speak truth before war burns everything. Just then, a side door opened. A small girl entered the room, same one Vrax had seen in the old video from The Revenant. She held something in her hand, a small box. She walked to Vrax and gently handed it to him. Inside was an old Earth artifact, a medal, worn and scratched, but still shining faintly. The girl said softly, My mother said this belonged to a soldier who saved her long ago. She said if we ever met another human again, we should give it back. Vrax stared at the medal. Something in his chest cracked. He had seen medals like this in history books, long before Earth was erased from the Empire's records. He looked at Hale. This isn't just survival to you, is it? Hale shook his head. It's our return, not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy that humanity still lives, and we never forget. And at that moment, Vrax knew the truth. This war wasn't starting. It had already begun, but it didn't have to end in fire. Not if someone was brave enough to choose a different path. Captain Vrax didn't sleep that night, not because he wasn't tired, but because his mind wouldn't stop. The medal from the little girl lay on the table before him, shining softly in the light. It was small, old, and heavy, not just in weight, but in meaning. This station, this hidden world called Haven, it wasn't just a base. It was proof. Proof that humanity had not only survived in exile, but grown. Stronger, wiser, and maybe more dangerous. The door chimed, breaking the silence. Darrow stepped in quietly. Sir, you should rest. I can't. Vrax said without looking up. Did you see her eyes? That girl. She wasn't afraid of us, she pitied us. Darrow nodded. She looked at us like we were the ones lost. Vrax finally stood and picked up the medal. We came here thinking we were the powerful ones. Now I don't know what we are. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered, then turned deep red. An alert flashed across the panel. Not from the Dominator, but from the Haven system itself. Foreign jump signature detected Sector K9, outer perimeter. Reen's voice echoed through the comms. Sir, we're getting emergency signals from the station. An unauthorized Imperial fleet has just arrived outside the cloaked border. What? Vrax's eyes went wide. High Command sent a fleet? Darrow's jaw tightened. They didn't trust you. They followed us anyway. Vrax ran to the hallway. The others right behind him. They rushed to the main operations room where Commander Halle stood, calm but alert. Staff moved quickly, hands on holographic controls. Alarm lights spinning across the ceiling. Halle turned toward Vrax. You didn't bring them, I know, but they came anyway. Vrax felt sick. How many ships? 112, Halle answered. Heavy cruisers, long-range bombers, and a dreadnought-class flagship. They came ready for war, Reen added from a nearby console. Sir, they've opened comms. It's Admiral Cyros. Vrax stepped forward. Put her through. A sharp voice filled the room, cold and cruel. This is Admiral Cyros of the Imperial Hammer Fleet. You are trespassing in restricted space. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Halle raised an eyebrow. She talks like we don't already know her intentions. Vrax opened the line. Cyros, this is Captain Vrax. I made contact. These people are not enemies. You're compromised. Cyros snapped. You will be removed from command and your ship reassigned. These vessels, human or not, will be taken or destroyed. The line went dead. For a moment, everything was still. Then Halle said, they gave you a chance, and now they'll try to erase it. What will you do? Vrax asked. I'll do what I must, Halle answered. He raised his hand and the room changed. Holograms lit up, showing the hidden weapons of Haven turrets along the star rings. Shield layers overlapping like armor, cloaked squadrons already moving into position. But that wasn't all. Ships began to rise from the shadowed parts of the system, not just human ones, but alien crafts, sleek, fast, and covered in symbols of lost empires, forgotten species, and shattered worlds. Reen whispered. There's hundreds of them. They're the broken nations, Halle said, and we gave them a place to rise again. They will not kneel to the Empire a second time. Darrow stepped forward. Sir, if you go back now, the fleet will kill you too. Vrax nodded. I know. That's why I'm staying. He turned to Halle. Let me talk to Cyros one more time. One last chance to stop this. She won't listen, Halle said. Maybe not, Vrax replied. But maybe someone on her ship will. The comms opened. Again. This time Vrax spoke alone. This is Vrax. You're about to make a mistake you can't undo. These people are not invaders, they're survivors. They want peace, but if you strike first, they won't run. Cyros didn't answer. But someone else did, a low-level voice, scared. Captain Vrax. I'm Ensign Dalrin. We're seeing things on our sensors we don't understand. We don't want to die today. Vrax leaned closer to the mic. Then don't fire. Don't follow orders that make you blind. Tell your crew to stand down or leave. Run if you must, but don't be part of this. The channel cut again. Vrax looked at Halle. Give them 10 minutes. If they don't fire, don't engage. Halle nodded once. 10 minutes. The countdown began. Every second stretched like an hour. Ships faced off in the black sky, Empire steel against hidden fire. No one moved. Then the unthinkable happened. A small Imperial cruiser turned away, broke formation, and jumped out of the system. Then another followed. Admiral Cyros screamed orders across the system. Rates, commands, but more ships hesitated, unsure. One by one, they began to break formation, their captains choosing survival over pride. And then the dreadnought fired, a single blast, huge and bright, raced toward Haven's defense line. But it never hit. A human vessel appeared between them, the Revenant, and absorbed the shot with its shield. Engines roared, lights flared, and in one move, it vanished and reappeared behind the dreadnought. It didn't fire. It didn't need to. Every Imperial ship now knew this wasn't a battle they could win. Admiral Syro shouted her last order: "Retreat!" The Empire's fleet vanished into hyperspace. Broken and defeated without bloodshed, the room in Haven erupted with quiet cheers. Darrow let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Vrax just stared at the stars ahead. The Empire had seen the future, and it looked human. But peace was still fragile, and war was still watching from the dark. The Empire's fleet was gone, vanished into hyperspace like a shadow running from fire. But the damage was done not in battle, but in truth. Captain Vrax stood on the observation deck of Haven, staring at the Peven, staring at the paddle. But in truth, Captain Vrax stood on the observation deck of Haven, staring at the observation deck of Haven, staring at the stars where Syros had once floated with her warships. Now there was only silence. Commander Halle walked up beside him, arms behind his back. She retreated, but not because she feared us. She feared the idea of us. Vrax didn't answer at first. His thoughts were full, tangled between duty and doubt. Should tell High Command what she saw. They'll prepare. Again, send more ships, maybe bigger ones. Yes, Halle said calmly. But next time, it won't be a test, it will be a storm. They stood together in quiet, watching the lights of ships move across Haven's skyline. Human and alien vessels side by side, repairing, refueling, preparing. But this was no longer about defense. This was the beginning of something larger, something the galaxy hadn't seen in 1,000 years. Darrow stepped into the room, holding a datapad. "Sir, we just received something strange. A signal from far outside the charted sector, Sector 001. The origin point is unknown." Halle took the pad, scanned the data. His expression darkened. "What is it?" Vrax asked. "The hollow," Halle said quietly. "It's moved." Vrax turned. "Toward us?" "No," Halle said. "Worse toward the Empire." A screen came to life beside them, displaying an area of deep space marked in red. Star systems flickered and vanished, entire colonies going dark in seconds. The movement was slow, almost invisible, but it was coming, like a tide of nothingness. No fire, no noise, only silence that erased everything it touched. Reen's voice crackled through the comms. "Commander Halle, Captain Vrax, multiple allied fleets are requesting emergency meetings. They've all detected similar disruptions. Some say they're stars just turned off." Darrow looked pale. "We've never seen power like that. Not even the strongest plasma weapons can do that." "It's not a weapon," Halle replied. "It's something else, something older than stars. It feeds on memory, on thought. It turns civilizations into dust without ever firing a shot." Vrax frowned. "How do you fight something like that?" Halle turned to him. "You don't fight it alone. That's what the Empire never understood. This galaxy doesn't need rulers, it needs defenders." Moments later, they stood inside the Haven war room, a great chamber shaped like a dome. The ceiling showed a live 3D map of the galaxy. Hundreds of colored dots marked the positions of hidden fleets, rebel systems, independent colonies, and refugee worlds. Halle raised his voice. "We are calling the first gathering of the forgotten. All species harmed by the Empire, all who lost their homes, their voices, their names must now come together, not to attack, but to stand, to survive." Alien leaders began appearing through holographic panels, tall beings with crystal skin, feathered creatures with 6 eyes, small races with minds like machines, and former human colonies long believed lost. Their faces were grim, but their eyes held something powerful: hope. An elder from the Rili species stepped forward in hologram form. "For centuries we feared the humans' return. Now we know. They are the only ones who remembered us." A rebel captain from the broken world of Vec said, "The Empire took our sky, but Haven gave us air again. We will fight beside you, one by one." More voices joined, old enemies now standing side by side, and through it all, the symbol of Haven, a broken Earth star with a ring of alien glyphs, glowed brighter. Vrax stood beside Holly and asked, "What if the Empire sees this and calls it war?" "Then let them," Holly said, "because this time they won't be fighting ghosts. They'll be facing the galaxy that finally stood up." Just then, the young girl from the Revenant stepped into the war room, still holding the old medal. She walked to the map and placed the medal at the center. The room went silent. She said softly, "My mother used to say the stars would remember us. If we remembered them back, maybe now they will." Every person in the room, human and alien, bowed their heads for a moment, not out of fear but respect. Then the map changed. It began showing something new, a path, a network of worlds and systems untouched by the Hollow, safe zones where refugees could be gathered, and fleets could unite. Halle looked at Vrax. "You see now why we returned?" Vrax nodded. "You didn't come back for revenge. You came back to make sure the future existed." Halle smiled faintly. "And to make sure humanity never disappears again." Outside the station, the Revenant prepared for launch again. This time, not alone. Dozens of ships joined its side, some sleek and new, others old and worn but still strong. It wasn't just a fleet, it was a message that whispered through the stars. "We are here, we are many, and we are not afraid." And far in the black edges of the galaxy, something ancient listened back. But for the first time in 1,000 years, it did not find silence waiting for it. It found resistance, united and human. The launch deck of Haven was alive with light. Ships from across the galaxy floated like stars, preparing to move as one. The Revenant stood at the center, still and strong. Not a relic, but a symbol. Around it were fighters, cruisers, even transport ships converted into defenders. They were not the Empire's polished war machines, but they carried something far more dangerous: conviction. Captain Vrax watched from the observation tower, his uniform still marked with the Empire's crest. But it no longer held meaning. He had crossed a line, not by betrayal, but by awakening. Beside him stood Commander Hull, quiet and calm. But behind his eyes burned something deep, something that couldn't be created with weapons or orders, only through survival. "The fleets are ready," Halle said. "The first wave will go to the outer sectors. Warn every system, gather the forgotten. The second wave will head toward the Hollow's path. Set up sensors, blockades, and escape routes. Buy time." Vrax nodded slowly. "And the third?" "The third follows me," Halle said. "Straight into the dark, to meet what's coming before it reaches anyone else." Vrax looked at him. "You don't expect to return?" Halle gave a soft smile. "If I don't, someone else will. That's what we've built here. Something that doesn't die when one man falls." Down below, the young girl, the one who had handed Vrax the medal, now stood beside a small team of engineers, watching the Revenant. Her eyes shone with quiet strength. She had no weapons, no armor, just a voice and memory. And in this new galaxy, that was enough to be powerful. A loud hum echoed through the station as the first ships began to rise, glowing engines lighting the black around them, a fleet of survivors now moving with purpose, bound not by command but by choice. Darrow entered the room quickly, holding a datapad. "Sir, final report from the border scouts. The Hollow destroyed another system last night, but this time something new happened." Vrax turned. "What?" "They stopped it," Darrow said, handing the pad over. "A single human-designed probe, small and fast. Made with old Earth tech and alien code, it sent a pulse before the system fell." The Hollow's spread paused for exactly 12 minutes, then resumed. Holly took the datapad, eyes sharp. 12 minutes. Long enough for evacuation if we're fast. Long enough to warn nearby sectors. Reen stepped in next, face lit with excitement. "Commander, we ran simulations. If we plant these pulses in the Hollow's path, we can slow it down, not stop. But delay it again and again. Vrak stepped forward. Enough delay to unite more systems. To build real defense. Halle nodded. Then that's what we'll do. We'll not fight to win, we'll fight to hold the line. For every child still asleep in a station, for every world that thinks no one remembers them. He turned to his crew and raised his voice. We're not just returning to history. We're writing the next chapter. And in this chapter humanity stands with the galaxy, not above it. Cheers echoed through the chamber, not loud, not wild but strong. Like the beat of a rising heart, the kind of sound that grows across time, across stars, across languages. Moments later, the Revenant moved into position, its surface glowing with blue pulses. It wasn't the largest ship in the fleet, not the strongest on paper, but it was the one every other vessel watched as they formed up behind it. The girl gave a small nod. As the ship passed above her, as if saying goodbye yet also saying go, she wasn't afraid, and neither was Vrax. Permission to join your third wave? Vrax asked Halle. I've spent my life defending an empire that forgot how to care. Let me serve something better before I'm done. Halle didn't hesitate. Granted. Welcome aboard, Captain. The launch codes were activated, gates opened. Across the system, hyperspace paths carved out like trails through the stars. And then the ships vanished. Dozens, hundreds. Flashing out in waves of light, humanity's children, joined by the broken and the brave, carrying warnings, carrying hope, carrying fire where silence once ruled, in the far distance, beyond known space. The hollow continued to spread. It moved without mercy, without purpose, like the hunger of a dead universe, swallowing everything in its path. But now, it would not go unanswered. Now there were voices in the dark. Now there were ships on the line, and above them all, one message traveled faster than any ship, faster than light itself. A whisper turned into a roar. We are still here. We remember. We defend. And in the deepest part of space, where even stars dare not shine, something paused, just for a moment, as if listening, as if understanding that this time, the void would not find empty silence. This time, it would find something ancient and powerful waiting for it. A single stubborn force built from pain and love, sorrow and strength, humanity reborn and ready.